Cherie Klassen. I'm the Executive Director with Old Strathcona Business Association. You know, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, we became really aware of, when we started to reopen, how many people were starting to come to Whyte Avenue. And we were concerned about crowding, was sort of one of our first priorities. But we also saw a real benefit in creating a more walkable space, a more enhanced space that would be more welcoming for people to come back. At the end of the day, as the Business Association, our main motivation is to support businesses and to support them in surviving. And we know from tons of research across the world that when you make an inviting public space and you make more space for people and pedestrians, that more people will be attracted to your area and ultimately spend more money and spend more time. So we looked at it with two lenses: public safety first and foremost, needing wider sidewalks so people can physically distance, but also just creating a welcoming space, having some tables for people to sit at so that they could linger and hang out in our area and feel welcome to come back. So, I mean, it was really our idea at the Business Association, but it was, it was an original idea. So when we looked at how do other main streets and interesting cities that have big commercial districts that have, a lot of walkability, how are they adapting during the COVID-19 pandemic? So we really just took the page from other cities across the world, and we saw that these cities were closing down their main streets and making them open for pedestrians, making more space for patios. So it kind of came from some of those ideas, and then also related to the city's expanded sidewalk patios. So we worked with the city and advocated to the city to relax patio permits so that our businesses could have more space outside. They're operating at less capacity, so expanding out onto the sidewalks, onto the roadways is another way to also support our businesses. So it was kind of a dual purpose. We created extra space for patrons and public, but also created extra space for businesses, so it was a win-win. We just looked to other countries and what they're doing, and we've always known that having more space for pedestrians in a high walkable, pedestrian-focused area is what we need, and we know it's good for business too. So I think when we first launched the expanded sidewalks for May long weekend, we were really concerned about the high traffic volumes May long weekend and wanted to have people have more space. It was just an empty space. So it actually didn't take off very well when we first executed it, because we just had this extra lane with nothing in it and people didn't know what to do. As soon as we put down tables and spaces for people and beautified it and made it really obvious this is a space for people, not cars, within 5 minutes of putting down our patio tables, people were like, "Can I sit here? Can I have my ice cream and sit here?" It was an immediate change in behavior. So we've heard pretty overwhelming positive response. It quickly shifted from you've reduced parking, you've reduced traffic and created congestion to, oh, this is a great, interesting space. And we've even won over some of our businesses that were skeptical about it. So it's really shifted, I think, everyone's mindset that as soon as you create a space for people, it's way more attractive for many reasons and way more welcoming. So it's been fairly positive since we made that shift. What do I think needs to happen next? I think we need to make it permanent. So we're having these discussions now with our board and with some of our businesses on how can we now make this permanent, and I think that'll be our next conversation. Already planted the seed with the city and said, I think we need to start talking about how we make this permanent and make it bigger. That's the next steps. I think the other piece, certainly from our business and our board perspective, is we kind of need to pandemic-proof our area. And so having more space for people and allowing people to spread out so that they feel like they can have that extra space is going to be really important for also the revitalization of our businesses. We need to make it attractive. We know that people feel safer outside. And so all of these urban planning principles that we've known for years seem to be really heightened. And for us, it's about survival of our business district and revitalization and coming back after the pandemic, attracting new business. We need to make our area really, really attractive so that we can recover at the end of the day and make this space really attractive for people. So next steps is we need to make it permanent. We need to do more of it. So we plan to do a few more pilot projects, and we want to use the pandemic as an opportunity to test things, which has been great. We're testing all of the things we've been wanting for years and prove the case that we can actually do this. So I've had a handful of businesses already say, you know what, this can't go away. We need to keep this permanent. And what are we going to do in the winter? So that's our next steps. How do we reimagine public spaces in the winter? How do we reimagine streets that largely tend to be closed down in the summertime for festivals like 83rd Avenue? A lot of people are starting to talk about that. How do we make public spaces like McIntyre Park that we're in today more attractive, more welcoming for people? So all of these things are back on the table again, and I just want to test as many of them as possible so that we can prove to all of our stakeholders that this is what we need permanently.